Greetings, I'm Gene Doremus from Excelsior. I teach 5 classes for Excelsior, and this is kind of sort of almost like a war story of what an experience that I had when I was in Saudi Arabia way back in 1990 during Desert Shield. And here's how the story goes. I showed up in Desert Shield. It was Riyadh, the capital of Riyadh. I was a young captain at the time, working for the headquarters, and had a rental car. And we were driving, me and my co-worker were driving at first all around the capital of Riyadh. And the first thing we realized is that you cannot turn left. I repeat, you cannot turn left in Saudi Arabia. You say never? Well, you can turn left, but only at a light that has an arrow. So if you were driving like what I just showed in the video of waiting at a light for the cars to pass and then turn left, that doesn't exist in Saudi Arabia. Or like my other one where you're just it's not at a light, you're just driving and you want to turn left and you wait for the cars to pass and you turn. Well, in Saudi Arabia, all the streets are blocked off from doing that. You're not allowed to do that, at least in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So I happened to have met a person that was a German engineer that had a long time in history in Saudi Arabia, and I asked him, why is that? Why is Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, doesn't have any left turns? And he said that when they first built the roads, they had left turns, and there were just dozens of accidents every day. And the reason is because the Saudis would not yield to oncoming traffic. When they came up to a left turn, they would just turn left, and of course somebody would hit them and then there'd be an accident. So in order to stop the accidents from happening, they blocked off all the left turns, and the only time you could turn left was at a light, and then the light had to give you a green left turn arrow. You couldn't just have a regular normal green light to turn left like the one I just went through here in my small town. And so that just got me to thinking about the word yield. And so a couple years later, I was back in Saudi Arabia, and I had met up with somebody who spoke Arabic and grew up in the Middle East and knew the language very well and knew English very well. And I said, what is the Arabic word for yield? And the person came and he thought about it and he thought about it, and then he finally said, you know, it's very difficult. We don't really have an Arabic word for yield, and if there was one, it would be a very negative connotation. It would be like give in or give up or give way. So in their world, they didn't have a word for yield, and the concept of yielding itself is negative. And so that got me to thinking of the sense that in a Christian sense, what is yield? And it's really like not necessarily the cornerstone, but certainly one of the foundations and pillars of the Christian faith is a life of yielding. You know, you can see it in our Master, Jesus. He gave up his throne to come to earth to save us. And if you look in Romans chapter 12 or 1 Corinthians chapter 13, you get this sense that an important part of the Christian life is yielding. And so I thought it quite interesting that in a non-Christian culture like Saudi Arabia, they don't really even have a word for yielding, and yet in the Christian faith, it's the centerpiece, or not the centerpiece, but an important piece of the Christian walk, the Christian life. And I thought that quite interesting.